How's everybody doing? So you already know what it is like getting people to come up to Harlem, especially 145th. So we're gonna do what we're gonna do with the people we have here. Some more people should be coming soon, but my name is Mario and I'm an artist and a painter. So I guess I'll kind of give you guys an overview of what the show is and what it's about, or my idea of why I made the work on the wall. So basically, I did an artist residency in Illinois, at Knox College, and I was teaching there for a semester. During that time, they gave me a studio and space to kind of create a body of work that had a solo show at the end of that residency. So what I decided to do in that space was create a series of paintings during that time. Also, Ferguson. Thank you everybody. So during that time, Ferguson, was really kind of blowing up. Everything that was happening with the police, the killings of black women, black boys, black men was really big, and they were feeling it in Illinois as well as they're feeling it today. So I decided to do this project in Galesburg, Illinois. And the community of Galesburg, so it's a population of 35,000 people, first of all. Very, very small community. I think it's 70% white. So the very small, minimal black community that's there is kind of really spread out. So I wanted to do this project called Mothers and Sons. And I was interested in how the media, immediately after a black man or black boy is killed, they always show the mourning mother, like almost immediately you see the crying mother, right? And I think in the beginning it was a thing of sympathy, looking for sympathy for the other, right? For something outside of a white body. They did it in this way that kind of would cause sympathy to other people to sympathize with this death. But over the years, over time, it becomes so overdone that we become blind to it. It becomes something that's silent. We don't care anymore. We see it so often that it's almost like, just walking down the street. It's almost like a regular occurrence. So what I wanted to do was talk about the power that I see in the women that I know, my mom, my family, and just friends that I have, and just see how they would possibly handle the situation, right? I'm sure there'll be tears, but I'm sure there'll be anger. I'm 100% sure with the personality of my grandma and my mom that they would be really upset. There would be some repercussions that would happen. But instead of talking about the dead bodies, I wanted to talk about the living. And I wanted to show mothers holding pictures of their living sons. So that's what this whole project was about. And I kind of just went from there.
Yeah, got some sound coming out this mic. But what I wanted everybody to know, because we're going to talk about Refracted Light, which is up here now. But I would like Mario to kind of discuss the initial journey of being an artist, because we are here at HSA. We have hundreds of students that come through these doors, and I wanted to ask Mario, when did you understand or know that the transition from being a young person creating art to becoming a young artist?
Oh man, so I have a funny story. So when I was younger, I don't remember this, but my mother's an artist. So I've always been involved in the art world, being from Detroit, Michigan. That's where I'm from. So I've always been involved in that world, seeing artist studios. When she had me when she was 20. She was still attending undergrad. So I was there with, her artist friends, the art professors. I was walking around all the studios and, absorbing the paint, probably what I should not have been doing. So that was going on. But she tells me the story where Amir Baraka at the time was visiting Detroit doing a lecture or something. And I guess she waited after the lecture and talked to him. And I might have been maybe like 5 or 6 years old, But he walked up and he said, what do you, it looks like, I guess I might have shown him a drawing I did of him while he was lecturing. He was like, oh, so you want to be an artist when you grow up? And I was like, I'm already an artist. And I think as a kid, I didn't know that, but I felt like it was honest. I felt like it was true. And I think as an adult, when you realize you're an artist, you have to go back to your childhood. You have to go back to that mindset of play and things that are innocent, right? To kind of get your creative juices flowing. So for me, I didn't know that stage, but I've always been involved in this art world. But I say like as a thing where I knew that I wanted to do it professionally, probably would have been in high school when I really started to I think I made my first oil painting in 10th grade. And I was like, this feels right.
Right. Now, was it more about the,
Mine's working. What is this?
Pass the mic. Yeah, we're in the cipher now. Pass the mic. No, I appreciate the early part of the journey in the art world. Is there any advice you can give our young artists here in the building that are listening, that can tune in? Because I definitely want you to talk about your journey prior to getting into Yale, in that process, and the hard work that it took for you to put your portfolio together, the long nights, short days, you know what I mean? Like just, grinding and really cranking out the artwork. But if there's any advice you can give these young kids about the persistence of being an artist, what could you tell them?
Well, I think it just has to do with, what's told to kids in urban environments and what's available, what they see, what they have access to. Because a lot of young kids and a lot of parents in urban environments don't know anything about art. They don't know anything about the visual world. They don't know anything about design. Right off the back, if the kid says, I want to be an artist or I want to be interested in that, you can't make any money in that. But when you really think about it, everything on this stage was created by an artist. An artist had to design this table. Somebody had to draw the sketch for this entire thing. So literally art is all around us. And it doesn't have to be secluded to, let's say, paintings or sculpture. It's and I think I've been blessed in that, in coming up in like an art environment and understanding the design world, because Detroit is really big for automotive design. So I had a lot of friends in transportation design, in product design, creating gym shoes, working at Converse, Nike. And a lot of kids just don't know this stuff. So they're like, okay, football, okay, rap. They don't know that you can get paid tons of money to draw some shoes, or you can get paid tons of money to design a building, or you can get paid tons of money to do the interior of something. This has to do all with access. Like a lot of kids, really smart kids, don't even think about applying to Yale, because it's something that's out of their perception as a reality for them, right? It's told, oh, you can't go there. That's not for you. So these are things that, it's all about access, it's all about knowledge, it's all about just telling them that this is a possibility. And I just was blessed with knowing that there were all these different possibilities out there for me, right?
And I want to get back onto this work, Refracted Light, because I think it's important with the timing and the sensitivity of what's going on in the nation and around the world with a lot of the violence that's going on. And we see a lot of the families being broken apart, and naturally, unnaturally, but I just want you to explain like the importance of why you wanted to go in this direction with the scope of work that you have.
So I was on the bus the other day and I saw a mural. I was going to one of my jobs because I got a whole bunch. So I was on the bus and I saw a mural that was painted in in like a fluorescent paint, the type of paint that's affected when the sun hits it. And I think a couple of clouds went past and the entire mural changed, right? The vibrancy of the mural kind of disappeared, right? And for me, that's essentially what I'm talking about in the work, that the cancellation of, or the death of these men and these boys is canceling the light that they have to shine, right, out to the world. So the only way you're going to be able to see that painting in its beauty is when the sun is shining on it, right? And it's refracting its own light, right? So who knows what some of these men and boys would have been, what contribution they would have had to the world, right? So that essentially is being shut down and cut off. So that's really what I wanted in the work, and I think it just so happened to come about that I wanted the copper to play in part with that, right? That what you see is a reflection of yourself also. That's also there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot.
It's working.
Yeah, there were a lot of patrons that came into the space and really questioned, why did Mario use copper? Why did he use this material to paint, these pieces? And I kind of was on the same mindset with you as far as like us being a part of this oneness of light. We're all a part of this refracted light. We're all molecules of light, and if we choose to want to, give off that energy, we can attract the right kind of people. But what I wanted to say to this work, as it relates to today's message in the art world, how can we get more of this work seen on a national level?
Oh man, that's gonna be hard. That's gonna be hard. I think it has to do with with anything in the art world, or any kind of, let's say, even in the corporate world, or the art world, or the music industry, or whatever, it takes the right person to get access to that thing that wants to kind of push that message. You need, a gallery to represent it, some people talking about it. That's what it takes. But my work has always, I remember when I was still in Detroit, I was involved in an art show, and I had a couple of pieces that they said were a little too controversial, so they didn't put them up. I've had that happen several times. So, and it's interesting because it's not about, I don't think it's so much about like nudity, vulgarity, or anything like that. I think it has to do with truth, right? And that my work is representing what's happening right now. It might hit a couple buttons, but you never know. You never know. It's I don't know, man.
Yeah, what I realize is that we have the capacity to really lift up artists like Mario. HSA is the space to produce and show great works. And I say, in the next 20, 25 years, we're going to be speaking about Mario as if he was the next Jacob Lawrence, as if he was the next Romare Bearden or Ernie Barnes, because HSA has that historical presence. Miss Maynard did not open this school for us to be mediocre, So, and for us to have these types of exhibitions and artist talks, I think we're moving in the right direction. And I wanted to open up the floor for anybody that has questions for Mario, because I know you're tired of hearing my voice. So if there's anybody out here that would love to ask Mario some questions, brother.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, sir.
This one.
I came here just to ask you one question. Does this have anything to do with ancient Egypt?
You want to repeat that question so everybody can hear it?
I said, does it have anything to do with ancient Egypt? And I mean specifically Akhenaten, Sun Ra.
Well, not specifically Sun Ra or Akhenaten, but I see what you're saying, but more so, I would say visually, it has to do with Egypt, ancient Egypt, in the paintings that they made for their dead. They would make these portrait paintings. You can see them at the Met. I don't think they had any at the Middle Kingdom show they had up, but they have them in the regular galleries in the permanent collection. But there's portrait. It's usually painted in like wax and caustic, and they have gold leaf around it.
By the way, I'm an Egyptologist.
All right.
Among other things, but the reason why I thought that because you had mother and then you had son.
Definitely.
And a lot of people don't know how far back that goes. The reason why we say Sunday is there's a reason for that. It's because of the sun. Because in the 3000 BC, Akhenaten decided that the sun itself was the best representative of God. That's how that religion came. That's what I thought. You knew, but you weren't saying.
Yeah.
It was like your little.
No, I got that. I mean, that also.
So I came here to ask you that very question. Very much so.
Yeah, definitely. There's also, the idea. The Virgo in the constellation is, representation of a mother with the sun as the sun.
Yes.
That contemporary also represents Jesus. So those things are in there, but not specifically. My mother creates work dealing with spirituality and also always dealing with a mother and a child, right? Madonna and child. But yeah, it definitely goes back, and that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in that stretch between history and how far we go back and
Right.
bringing it into contemporary times, right? Because everything's cyclical.
Okay, but one more question. Why that particular outfit?
Oh, that's just what my mom wears sometimes. Yeah.
That's what your mother wears.
Yeah, that's my mom.
And your mother is an American person.
Yes, she is. Born in Detroit.
Born in Detroit.
Born in Detroit.
That's wonderful. That's my question. Thank you.
No problem.
Anybody else? Yes, sir. Please.
I want to know about the piece on the end. Yeah, you have to kind of be up close to see what's going on, but I noticed there were a few things.
Yeah, so I created that piece probably like 2 years ago, but basically, and probably as you can see, there's a lot of females in my work, a lot of women, and I'm very interested in kind of reverting the white male gaze that is available historically in museums, right? When you go to museums, usually they show like an odorless woman kind of laying nude, ready for the viewer to kind of, take their body or whatever. So I kind of wanted to go against that and talk about the power of Black women, right? And the ownership of their bodies, of their sexuality, of their sensuality. So this piece was created just to give a viewer that she's aware of herself, right? She's looking out, pretty much in all the paintings, they're looking out at you, saying that they're aware of the presence of somebody outside of the image, right? And then in the background, it's just saying that she is so aware of herself and so present and so powerful. And in the background, all this chaos is happening in the world, right? There's like killing going on, people getting beat up, all this chaos, but she's still resolved. It's something they talk about in Yoruba religion, talk about this idea of coolness. That when you stay cool, you stay true, right? You're with yourself, you understand yourself. So that's kind of what it is about.
Anybody else have any questions?
Question right there, we got a question?
Yes, sir. Come on up. Come on by here, sir. Yes, sir.
I want to know about that painting because at first I thought it was somebody, when somebody came back and then they missed that one.
Yeah,
I like that. I think that
Yeah,
works. Like
that's
somebody
a good
came back
observation.
and they missed it. That's good. So, basically this painting represents, I like to think of it as representing multiple people because I'm always interested in how to put the viewer in an image, right? So almost like you're looking at a film or you're looking at theater, that you're basically right there and you're a participant. So you're kind of let into a really intimate setting, right? That maybe he's been gone for a very long time and he just got back. And she's giving him a hug, but you're kind of walking into the door and she's looking at you like this is our moment. Or maybe she just got back from somewhere and you're kind of walking in on their private moment. So I think it's all of those things, but it's definitely about like love, intimacy type thing.
Yeah. So yeah, we also, I see a lot of images of how you frame the frames within your work, and I just maybe wanted to ask you a little bit about that process. I see a lot of the framing of other images within your work, so I just want to kind of understand like the concept behind that.
Right. Well, you probably won't see it in this work, but maybe somewhat. Usually I have like a lot of windows, a lot of passages to other worlds in my work that kind of lends to other passages, or references to other paintings. So I'll have maybe a Caravaggio painting within a painting within a painting. And I think it's just a way to represent the idea of that painting and also what I'm talking about. So it's just a multiple layered process and tool to represent things. And specifically about these, you know, I really wanted to kind of update the idea of the mourning mother, because often, you know, when they're crying, they're holding a picture of their dead son.
Yes.
Or they're, you know, look at this, you know, they're holding that picture. So it's really about that. And when thinking about framing, I want it to feel as if you're looking through maybe a literal window or a doorway.
Right.
So it feels like actual, definitely.
Right. Because, you know, a lot of your work is definitely generational. Were there anybody, I mean, you say your mother's an artist, so is there anybody else in your family that may, or I say this, who inspired you initially to, besides Mary Baraka, to kind of get into this whole idea of art?
Oh man, I would have to say, just looking at art history, but ultimately it was my mom. She has a really good friend who's, he's kind of like a mentor. He's like a mentor to me. His name is Richard Lewis. He's an amazing artist. He basically taught me how to paint in oils. I did my first painting with him. And I kind of almost literally followed his path. He went to CAS, I went to CAS. He ended up going to CCS, I went to CCS. He ended up going to Yale, I went to Yale. So I've definitely kept in contact, and I think that's something that students also need to understand, is that they need to have a mentor. They need to have somebody that's done it, and even if they've done it and failed at doing it, they can give you ideas how to do it better. You know, but they definitely you need that guidance from somebody else.
Yeah, I'm glad you spoke about that, because I think what we're wanting to do here and what we're doing in the art department is getting these young students, you know, prepared in the art world, whether they want to be an artist or on the inside of the art world, whether an art handler or an archivist, or someone that can install a body of work into an artist space. We want them to be involved in all aspects of art, and I think it's important that starting from the ground up, I started out as an archivist at first, just, you know, starting out in the art world, but as an artist, you know, I found it important to understand how to put my work or have my work shown in gallery spaces. And as an artist, it's tough because either you need representation or you need management or an aid, somebody to speak on your behalf that believes in your work. And maybe you can, you know, maybe there were some journeys or some galleries or museums you didn't get in, or maybe you could tell us a little bit about that aspect of the art world.
Oh man, there's so much stuff I ain't getting. It's a lot. That's a lot. No, I mean, I think honestly, it's just as an artist or any creative person, it's just knowing that your process, what you're making, is important. Even if it's just important to you, it's important, right? So off of that, you just have to keep making the work. Whatever that is, you have to keep making it work. And I think for me, getting into, you know, museums, like having a museum show at the Charles H. Wright Museum, which is an African American museum in Detroit, or really well-known galleries, or colleges and universities, it's been me putting in the legwork. Like I don't have any people.
Right.
You know, nobody's
Exactly.
nobody didn't answer my phones like you've reached, you know, Mario Moore. No, it's not like that. You know, so for me, I'm putting in all the legwork. You know, I'm setting up meetings. I'm writing up proposals for different shows.
Right.
Even a show where I curated some shows where my work wasn't involved, but I'm going to these places and I'm making these connections. So
Yeah. And yes, sir.
Like, all right. Kind of like what you're talking about, the artist hustle right now, and like you're early in your career, and you obviously have an amazing idea with this. And the title is beautiful, the concept is beautiful, and I like how you tied in a lot of personal aspects into this show. So you have a great concept, you have a great perspective of history and contemporary issues, especially in the Black community and in your culture. And you have also, what you haven't talked about as much as your technique in painting.
yeah.
And you know, I know your work as very figurative and very, you know, fine-tuned. These oil paintings are beautiful, and the material is beautiful, the copper and how it relates to the concept of refracted light, all of that. So you have a very powerful, you're a very powerful person with these different skills, right? So my question to you is, where do you put this energy? Where do you put this talent that you have, and where do you think that it is most valuable, maybe right now, and also where you see that, you know, like where's the best place for you to take your talent? Is it in a gallery setting? Is it in a museum setting? Is it in a school setting? Like, and you know, factoring all different things like educating, like I know you teach, and finding out which is the most valuable direction for you to go. And I'm wondering if you have anything to speak on that right now, and like how you spend your time. You know, like what is most valuable. You know what I'm saying? Which direction to go? And obviously you got to make a living too.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm.
That's a
you can
good
speak on
question.
that.
Yeah. I would say for me, what I tend to like, or what I find to be the most fruitful, is shows in universities, shows in educational spaces. I had a recent solo show at Winston-Salem State University, and that was really great. I had some students come up to me. Actually, I got a random email saying, you know, congratulating me on my work and saying how much they loved the idea, my work was needed. And then I did a lecture down there, I think at the University of North Carolina School of the Arts. They're really known for like film and all that kind of stuff, but there were 2 whole classes who did paper on my work, and I was blown away by that. You know, I had no idea, but I think for me, universities, institutions like that, really are where I kind of see my work. But where I wanted to go and where I wanted further are in museums. And the reason I say that is not for the simple fact that I want my stuff in the museum collection, but because the majority of stuff that's in the museums, which got me excited as a kid, are all like white people. You know, literally all the European paintings, all the paintings that are really well known, and talk about those grand narratives that I'm excited about. I don't see myself in that work, right? So if a kid is going in there and they're looking around the galleries, they might be excited, but they don't see themselves. So for a kid that's in an urban environment, and maybe not, he may not visit museums, but maybe they take a school trip, right? And he's walking around and he's looking, and, you know, work's exciting, but he might be like, yo, I don't see myself. Why do I care about a museum? Why do I care? So for me, that's where I want my work to be, because then I can get those conversations started, right? And I can change the historic perspective by putting more black bodies in the wall, right? So definitely universities, definitely institutions, and that's where I kind of feel like I'm having a love for that, like, you know, educational institutions, but ultimately like a museum or museums. Or, we have a question.
Yes.
I guess
Yes, ma'am.
I'm taking it back to the personal. I just think this is so deeply powerful work. You know, I remember, I've only seen it since last week. I was looking at it online. And I wonder on a personal level, when you're able to produce this, you know, which is a phenomenal gift, and it comes to light, you know, just how, even through these talks, or just even engaging with the work when it's done, I'm just wondering what you get from that personally, because we get so much from it, like those of us who understand it. And then my second question is, there seems to be something really special or not about Yale and the art program there. You know, I'm not good with names. I'm actually seeing more art pieces, but there are some heavy brothers who come from that school. They may be sisters too, so I kind of wanted to know, you know, what that's about.
Okay, all right. So to the first question, man, I think I might have forgot the first question because I'm thinking about Yale so much. See, that's how much it messes up your mind. I'm telling you. Well, let me answer the second question, then maybe you can answer the first question again. But Yale as a program, I mean, when you say Yale or you say Harvard, you know, it already has an association with it, right? Like automatically, you come up with so many perceptions about what's there. But as an art program, it's a really intense art program. It just is. And you know, they're looking for talent, definitely the people that come in, but then they are looking to really just mess up your mind. And I mean that in the best way. The best way possible, I mean that. In that every idea you have, every concept, you have multiple critics coming into your studio talking about your ideas, and they challenge you every step of the way. So it's almost like you grow with your work in a very small, in the 2 years, probably what would take very, very long outside of that program. Like maybe even if you're a really great artist, you know, it might take 5 years to get to that point, but you're doing it in 2 years. It might take 10 years. You're compressing all of that into that short amount of time. But I would say specifically for a lot of the black artists that I know that went there, there's just a lot of great people that teach there. You have Robert Ferris Thompson, who's the head of he was the head of the African art program and African art history program, or art history program. But he basically kind of wrote the guidebook on African art history and African American art history. He kind of created a whole field of study. So, you know, you're taking classes from him. And, I mean, I can, you know, go on and on, but you're just learning from these people that have been doing it. And one professor who recently passed away was there the longest. I think, how long was he there?
Forever, since like the 70s.
The 70s or something? He went to Yale too, y'all.
Okay.
He just sitting over there just chilling. But yeah, I mean, you know, and he's a black guy, but he was there for the longest, so he had an effect on all these artists. So you're probably thinking about Kenneth Wiley, Nicolene Thomas, Nkechi Mutu. I mean, all these artists that are coming out of this program. But yeah, that's the best thing that I can give you is that they mess up your mind, man, and they do it really fast, in a quick amount of time. And I wanted to answer your first question.
Well, the first question was basically, what do you get out of once you produce the work? And, you know, she said basically, what we get out of it is the joy and satisfaction of seeing your work produced in this way. So she wanted to know what you get out of that.
Well, for me, it's like I have to get it out. Like the satisfaction is literally making the work because I don't like it, because I'm a really kind and nice person. And if I kept this stuff inside me, I'd probably go crazy. So it's literally that it's a way for me to talk about what's happening and express myself, and I have to get it out. So that's what I enjoy, getting it out. Because once I'm done with it, I actually want to move on to the next thing. You know, I'm almost tired of looking at it. I'm like, okay, what's next? What's happening next? So that's essentially what it is. Yeah.
So when you were just speaking about your work, how often, like say, this piece right here, did you have to revisit it, walk away from it? You know, how long does it take for you to, you know, produce a piece?
It varies. It depends on, if I'm working, if I just have the full time to commit to that piece. But also, I like to work on multiple pieces at a time, so that way I can stand back and just get an idea of what I need to work on, what I need to fix. But for this piece, I probably revised it a couple of times. It might not take that long at all. Maybe 2 weeks, a week and a half, something like that. But yeah, I remember making that work, and it was definitely some fixes, some wiping out stuff, some painting over, and stuff like that. So but it varies.
And with the copper work, what initially got you to start looking beyond canvas? To start painting on this material, and then when did you know that it would be successful?
Well, I started to explore in grad school. There was a class, I wasn't even in the class, but he did a trip to the Met. And I've always been interested in copper, because if you look in the museums, a lot of times you might think it's oil on board or on canvas. They're usually these really small paintings. A lot of British artists did it, a lot of Dutch artists, but it's actually oil on copper. But the thing is, they put the white ground on it, almost like you see the white paint on the canvas when you go to the art store and buy a canvas or something like that. So I've always been interested in it because they look like jewelry, like the way the oil does not absorb into the material gives it this nice reflectiveness that I've always been excited about. But I was in this class, or on this trip with this class, and he was talking about material, and there was this really small painting by Peter Paul Rubens, and it was oil on copper, very small, and I think it was called The Student or something like that. It was a guy reading the book, and he was just saying, like, because it was a materials class, so he was saying like how to paint on copper, this and that, and he was like, you can also paint on the surface by itself, you just have to decrease it and clean it. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll try that. So I tried it out, did a self-portrait, and at the same time I was thinking about W.E.B. Du Bois's idea of double consciousness, and the veil, right, that black people in America live in these two bodies, right? So I wanted to try to give other people access to that, what that's like. Right, so when you look in the reflection here, it's not a mirror, because it's brown, right? So it's tinted. But when you get up close, you can see yourself, but you really can't. So it's almost like there's a veil in front of you. But no matter who looks at it, their skin is tinted brown, like a bronze. So that kind of came into the work in that way. And then it just so happened later on that I thought, being from Detroit, that's like the first thing people steal out of houses is copper. So, I'm right into it too.
Okay. Right.
So questions?
Yeah, I mean, we're here until 8 o'clock, but I know we don't need to stretch it
We
out.
don't want to talk you out of death, right? So
But
if y'all have any questions?
more questions. We do have beverages over here every Thursday if you want to get a beverage, but feel free to come up and talk to Mario, come up here and, real quick, I'd like Mario to explain a little bit. Mario will be teaching our portfolio presentation class. And I would like Mario to kind of give us a little information about what we expect out of students moving forward with this portfolio presentation course.
Well, it's a portfolio prep. So it's getting like high school students ready for college, right, to apply to art programs, where they want to go. But I'm be thinking about different things, and I really want the students to kind of work on what they want to work on. Right. Essentially, like, I'm interested in drawing shoes, or I'm interested in drawing carpets, or I'm interested in drawing chairs, or I like drawing people. So just kind of giving them some guidance, because like I said, a lot of kids don't know that the little sketches they do in their sketchbook of shoes or clothes or stuff like that they don't consider that as being like an actual thing that you could make money off of, or drawing cards. So I think it's just when I have a class, is seeing what they're bringing in because
Right.
it is portfolio prep, so they should have some kind of like sketches or something to show me, and then kind of guiding them and where what I'm seeing within their work, right? So getting them
Right.
ready for art and design college.
Yes. So, like I said, you know, feel free to come up here and talk with Mario. If there aren't any more questions, you know, just hang out. We have more drinks to drink, some beverages, but we appreciate everybody that showed up tonight and gave their support because it's tough to come up here to 145th or 141st and say Nick. They think it's like in Connecticut somewhere.
You're right.
You
It's in
know what I'm
outer
saying?
space.
But we appreciate everybody coming out. Next week we have an awesome exhibition coming up with Fabiola Jean Louise. She has
Her work looks dope, by the way.
some sculptures, some dresses that she made out of paper, and she'll have the photographs to accompany that. It'll get started about 6 o'clock, and feel free to come out and hang out with us. But Mario will be here at HSA. We're gonna be doing some really big things in 2016, and our motto in the art department is, it's a new day at HSA. So we thank you all for coming out tonight, and please, if you have any young students that are interested in doing any type of artwork, feel free. We have registration coming up next week. We will, come put your son or daughter in our art class, and I know it will change their life. Thank you all so much. And give a round of applause to Mario. This is the man right now. Thank you. Appreciate it.